You're
It says you're live.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Dog River Design Everything Tech. We've had a fun evening working on some technical issues. We've got some new gear. We're always got new gear, Sue, right?
Always.
Sue's my wife. She's over there running the PC. We got some really cool stuff, actually. I don't know if you guys would be interested in seeing it. Let me know if you are. But we got a card that has 4 HDMI inputs, so we've got cameras running into that. We've got our overhead cam. Sue, maybe you can show them the overhead cam. So we've got our overhead cam, we've got me on the first cam, and then we've got our PC, well, this PC, it's the one that's on, running through a third camera, and then we have like a 4th slot that we can even pull in. So we might have some close-up stuff if we do some detail work. Anyway, we've got a kind of a cool setup, and all that's running into the PC. Now, you could use OBS, but I found OBS is sort of like, for me, I almost need like an engineering degree just to make something happen. So I've always used the software Minicam. You got to pay for it. It's not free. But I've always found it really intuitive and easy to work with. And more importantly, my wife has found it easy to work with. And since she's the one running it, that's what's important to me, right, hon?
Yes, indeed.
Right. So we had some latency issues. Actually, it turned out to be NVIDIA broadcast, which is really weird because I've not had that issue before. But the audio latency was just funky. But I've got 2 thumbs up, like everything's good to go. So I think we've solved that problem, which I'm like pumped. So what are we talking about today?
I have no idea.
You have no idea. Why don't we tell us? Okay, so a few years back, and forgive me if I'm not looking right at you and I'm looking up, it's because I have a brand new 43-inch 4K monitor that I'm using to show the display out, which is like super awesome because now I can actually see it. I could not see things well before. I've got these computers. I've got this one. I don't know if you guys can see the one back there. It's a similar one to this. So these were like really available back in, I don't know, a couple years ago, right as COVID was chip shortage stuff. I picked, actually, I got a bunch of these because our churches, our fellowships were wanting to go live because we couldn't do live services or people couldn't come to the sanctuary. So we got these computers. They had graphics cards. I could upgrade components and make them work. And we used them to stream. In fact, we still are using them to stream, even though basically they're not the default systems. They are a little bit upgraded. One of the things I want to talk about today is what you can do with these if you're inclined to. But things have changed quite a bit, and what I wanted to kind of talk about is some basic performance. I'll show you the numbers as compared to my workstation, and also we're going to be changing that out because that's like a $2,000 setup, and I think that might be that's just a lot of computer to compare to. What I have otherwise though is I have this guy right behind me here, and I've been wanting one of these for like ever. This is a little MSI Trident. This is a really cool system. I got it refurbished, new egg, $870, and I think this is going to be sort of my new baseline to compare things to. This is like I haven't done any upgrades to this. I really desperately want to, but I'm going to do a video of it first before I do any upgrades. And boy, that's been tough. But I got this for like $860, 3070, 16 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte with a 12700. And that is like super ideal. In fact, my wife's computer, she does all of her work on video editing, content, like imaging and web design and all that stuff, as well as having a big 49-inch display she drives with about 1,000 things going on at once. Maybe I underestimated, maybe it's more than 1,000, Sue?
No, it's dropped below 1,000 now.
A little less than 1,000. All right, she did break the iPhone when it comes to how many tabs open. So anyway, she has a 12700 with 64 gigs of RAM and a 4070. So she is that. I think that tier is like super solid. So I'm going to redo my numbers and use that as like my baseline because that's I think far more affordable in the sense of that's a $2,000 rig. That's overkill for 95% of the people out there. Maybe my number's wrong, but that's overkill for most people that just want to play games and do some stuff at home and schoolwork and stuff. That's far more practical, and it's a whole heck of a lot cheaper. Anyway, so let's just look at the basic sort of pricing on these. So pricing actually hasn't changed much. In fact, it's kind of I mean, I think I bought one of these units. It might have been this one here. I paid less than $250 for it. Okay, so you can find these things on like a crazy deal. People are dumping them, and actually, there's a reason for that. That people are dumping them. I'm going to go over here.
You want me to switch
Yeah,
camera?
switch over to the screen. So I ran a search. This unit, actually, you know, let me change this. Do this with a Ryzen 5 with a GTX 1650S. Oh, I don't want. Okay, so you're not seeing a lot of those. Okay, here's one. No, that's the RX 5500. I have one of those too. This one is okay. Here we go. All right, this is a good example. Okay, so this company here has been really dumping a bunch of these on the market. So let's look. I mean, on the surface, less than $400 gaming PC. What do you think, Sue? Good deal, bad deal?
I mean, I don't game, but from what I hear, that's outstanding.
All right, see, and I think that's what most people think, is that that's an outstanding deal. Now, this has actually got an i5 11400. That's a little bit better. The upgrade path is going to be very different with this. I need to look at the motherboard. I don't know what motherboard they use here. Anyway, the point is that this system right out the gate is going to need upgrades. And that's where you have to wonder, is this essentially $400 price point really a good value, right? So I will show, let me just show you what this unit here, 8 gigs of RAM. Now, it came with a 256. It's got a 512 in it. I've had this for a couple years, so it's not like out of the box. It does have a bigger hard drive in it. I'll show you why, because just my benchmarking stuff, if I were to just look at what space I'm using, I've got a 500 gig drive and I only have 100 gigs left. So that means I'm using 400 and some change, right? Actually, it's a 464. I've got 100 and some free. So we're way over like a 256 gig drive, right? So I've got like 3 games, maybe 2 games and some benchmarking tools loaded. So you do the math. If you've got a 256 gig drive where you're starting, how far are you going to get, right? How far are you going to get? So immediately you're going to have to put another $60. Like this is a Walmart special, 1 terabyte. You can go down, like this is bizarre to me. When I started, there was no Walmart where I lived, first of all. And I know that for some people was like, what? How old are you exactly? Stones and tablets and stuff. Anyway, yes, where I lived in Vermont, it was like they needed an act of Congress. Like the Supreme Court nearly had to allow Walmart to get a place there. But to go down and buy anything PC related other than a whole PC wasn't immediately, but to go down, I can get NVMe, 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte drives off the shelf at Walmart. It's crazy. Anyway, let me just move on. $60 for this. So really, I wouldn't go 512. I would go, because I'm already out of space, right? I haven't done anything work related on this. I've got a couple games, and let's see what I got. I've got Valorant, which is not very large. I do have, what's that game you want to play, Sue, that Naomi likes? The one with the Avatar. There it is. I've got Avatar, just so I could run a benchmark. And then I've got, Counter-Strike. I don't think, it doesn't look like I think I have Fortnite. So I've got 3 or 4 games. Now, some of these games are pretty big. And what you're going to find, you're downloading games, they may be 100 gigs, just the game. And if you got a 256 gig drive, you're out of space. I think that point is like super important. So if you are looking at these, the reason they're so affordable, right, is guess what?
256.
256. Now, the other thing is the RAM, right? So 8 gigabytes of RAM. Now, I've got what going on here? I've got a couple folders and my browser and performance or task manager. And okay, so I've got some tabs open. Big deal, right? Let's see how much RAM I have left. I have none. I have available 1 gig. So if I were to do anything, immediately I'm out of RAM. So if I were to even close all this down and try and play a game, I'm starting out of the gate with very little available resources. And one of the things I'll show you right now and how this impacted scores, let's go to here and we'll just look at a pass mark score. So I have my the data from that machine over there, which is for those that haven't watched the channel, that's a 13700K. It's got 32 gigs of RAM, I think. 32 gigs of RAM. No, 64, I apologize. 64 at 3200 megatransfer second, DDR4. Whole long story on why it's not DDR5. That's for another day. Anyway, 13700K, RTX 3090, plenty of NVMe storage, and 64 gigs of DDR4 memory. So DDR4 memory. If I'm looking at the memory scores here, this memory score is horrible. It's 17, where is it? There it is, 1764, right? Well, I rounded up, 1763.8, 1764, where that machine, 3200 megatransfers per second, that machine is 3641. So it's like almost twice as fast. And the reason is this thing is so starved, the benchmark couldn't even hardly run. So it's completely starved for RAM. So if we were looking at this deal, right? So we're looking at this deal and we wanted to put some extra RAM in it. Let's say I'll show you my go-to RAM for like affordable RAM is going to be like Team Group. So I bought a bunch of this. Couple of things on these systems. I watched a video just today, Toasty Bros. I caught my attention because they're like doing a video just like I was going to do. They have one of these units by the same company. This, where did I find it? This guy. This company here had a model that came with a 4060. Now, if I saw one of these with a 4060, 12 gigs of RAM and a 512, all right, for $400, be all over that, like all over it. But yeah, that's not in stock anymore. So we're looking at $400 for like half that performance here, what they've got here. Anyway, but if we're going to go with like 16 gigs of RAM, 2 chips, back to my thing. The reason I mentioned them is they were talking about, oh, if the RAM can do 3200, just throw it in, the motherboard will take care of it. No, it will not. You've got to have 1.2 volt DIMMs. If you have RAM that's 3200 but requires Expo or some sort of overclocking, XMP or whatever, with a higher voltage, it will not clock higher. It will only do default spec. So you have to get RAM that matches these, and it's really simple. You want 1.2 volt RAM. If you don't do that, your RAMs, you can't clock it. So these units, they're 3200 megatransfers per second. The latency is not awesome. It's 22, which is not 16, right? It's 22. So it's 22 latency. Again, not great, but at least it's running 3200, right? And a 16 gig kit's $30. So you're going to have, if you do RAM and hard drive on this, you're $100. Let's just say $100 in, which, okay, so let's go back to our little sheet here. So now we're at this for now we're at $500. Well, $500 actually wouldn't be bad, but now we're looking at a 1650, and actually the 1650 is okay. It's the 1650 Super actually, so it's okay. It's got 4 gigs of RAM, which, if you guys have been following the whole VRAM argument, ain't great, right? It's going to give you some fits eventually. I think that if you're going to put $500 into it, you can maybe go $650 and have a whole lot better. Like, you can get the RAM, you can get the drive, you can get something. And I know the card itself is a terrible card, and if you were just buying it, but if it's bundled with a system and you get the whole system, it's not bad. Sue, I don't know if you can grab for me the little MSI little mini tower over there, because I'll show them that real quick. To the right, that one, your hand, yes, that one right there. Just unplug it if it's plugged in.
It's got lots of plugs.
Yeah, just unplug everything. It's fine. She's gonna bring me another MSI pre-built that I have I love these. The little Tridents I think are really cool. I like little baby computers. These are pretty small, and this is an example. This is like no bigger than like a console, right? So it's actually pretty slick. So you can actually set it down like a console or set it on a stand. Oh, this way, that's better. Right side up is better. All right, so this unit was, I think you can buy this now for about $700 on Newegg. You may have to hunt for it a little bit, but this has a 12400, 16 gigs of RAM, and a 3050 and a 1 terabyte drive for like $650, $700. Much better deal. Okay, much better investment. All right, and that was my main gaming rig until I found the deal on this one, and I had it ran great. It ran super nice. So people are gonna poo-poo on the 3050, and I don't blame them. I wouldn't buy great at retail. I would never have bought one, but now if you get one bundled on the system, it's not bad. Let's just see what something with that's the 15 now. We can get to that in a minute. Let's see what a Pavilion with an RTX 3050 is running. I don't want laptop. Unfortunately, a lot of laptops. I don't want a laptop. We'll do desktop. Desktop. That's not okay. Here's one. That's not bad. Still 8 gigs of RAM. Okay, so we're dealing with 8 gigs of RAM. I'm not sure about the hard drive either. 36 Ti is a good. This is not bad here, but you're still going to need to drop another $100 into it. That would be $650-ish with shipping and stuff, but that gets you into a 3060. That's a whole nother class. That's actually really solid. So something like this wouldn't be bad. You're into 11th Gen i5, so that's pretty decent. Get out of here. Okay, get out. Okay, still need to put more RAM in it and a bigger hard drive. But for another $100, you're at 630 plus shipping, tax, or whatever. That's not bad. That's pretty good. And I've actually bought from these guys too. This Wasno place. I bought from them some GPUs from them. I think what I'm seeing is that if you're looking at 400 and knowing you're going to have to put at least $100 into it, now you're at 500. If you want to like do a graphics card, well, I mean, we can do a little searching, right? So if we just come up here, the key with these is got to get a graphic card that's small enough. So like the MSI Aero 3060, this little guy, see, super pricey, right? Because oh, they have a 3060. Sorry, shiny thing. Those are too expensive. Way too much money, right? That's too much money. It's $200. That's more. That's $250. More than. Let's say
with shipping.
Yeah, with shipping, it's $250 and some change, right? Mm-hmm. All right, there. I mean, that's a lot of money that you're adding to something that's already $400. Now you're $650. I think you're better off looking something else. So now, on the other side, if you're a guy like me and you got a drawer full of spare parts, then picking up something that's $300, and you know, we were looking at something that's $400, right? If we were to look at, see if I can find this unit here. This was a HP Pavilion. It has a 3500 and a 1650 Super. I wouldn't do 10100. All right, here we go. That's way too much money. That's $420 for this unit, but they've added more RAM. So you've got some RAM in it. The $30 worth of RAM. You're going to have to put $60 in it. You're at $500 plus or minus a little bit. 10400 with a 1650, and I would get away from the 1650. So let's look at Pavilion. Yeah, I don't know. So here's the units that I got. I got this one, which is a Ryzen 3500 1650. That one over there was a Ryzen 5600G. Now that's a different story. Let's look at those options, right? So that's a 5600G with an RX 5500. Okay. Now, okay, this, well, $100 shipping. Okay. And the seller's got some ratings. Let's take a look at this one. So 5600G. This has got 32 gigs of RAM and a terabyte. Well, that means you don't have to do anything. That's 100 at, let's say 110. So we're at under 450, just barely. That's not a bad deal. The 5600G is a pretty good processor. I have another video I've started with that. My nephews and I built one, and that's pretty good. I wouldn't go Ryzen 3, nor would I go i3, but the 5600G is pretty cool. Now, let me tell you a little thing about this computer and these two. This is a 5600G as well. This came with a 6400, which is absolutely trashed here. So right off the rip, if you got something like this, you'd be wanting to dump that and go with a completely different GPU. Let's see. Yeah, see, that's one of these guys right here. Yeah, yes. You can see the pricing is looks really good, right? Until you start adding all the things you need. Now this GPU is terrible. You're looking at needing more RAM. The hard drive's not bad. You definitely need more RAM and a new video card. Best video cards I've run into these. If you can get a small RTX 2060, those are really, really good. And you get them for, let's see if we can look for one. HP OEM. I don't know if that'll work or not. Okay. Not working. That's not helpful. Not working is not helpful, is it?
Why would you buy a not working
I don't
unit?
know why people would buy not working. I don't know. For 145 bucks, 150, that's a, you can get maybe a 46 Super maybe. I got a 2060 Super for about 170, and in all the testing I did in these units, I don't know if it's PCI limitations or what it was. The 2060 Super did really, really well. And there was very little difference between that and a 3060. So there you go. So here is 175. So under 200 bucks, you get an 8 gig graphics card. You could go with a 3050 with 8 gigs. 3060 would be ideal, but the 3060s I saw were way more money. Okay, well this is a 25. This is a different chassis, 12400. This is really good, but you're going to dump 100 bucks into it. I do like this chassis a lot. The 25L is nice. The 12th gen, getting the 12th gen with a 3050, you're looking at 100 bucks and you're like up and running with a pretty nice setup. It's essentially.
You're not alone because there are 40 watches of that.
Yeah, I mean, this guy right here, I've looked at this unit before. This guy right here, best day, it's because of the form factor, right? Is like people want the form factor. Mm-hmm. But on the best day, it's like 650 and some change. You're looking at, say, 500. You're looking at 600 bucks with that unit if you drop your own RAM and hard drive in it. So, okay, I think you guys get the point. You can do a little searching around. We go to the 15L, which is this guy. And this is the exact unit that I have here. 5600G, 6400. Now, this came with a 512. So, don't have to upgrade the hard drive like out of the gate, but you do have to upgrade the RAM. So, you're 30 bucks in the RAM. So, 400 some change. This one isn't bad, but that daggum 6400 is absolute trash. I've run it. I mean, it will run, but you're going to want to, I mean, if you want to do anything other than like the most basic games, if you want anything that has any sort of graphic fidelity, you're going to want to go to something, 8 gigs of RAM and some horsepower. Oh, the option, if you can find one that fits, and I have one, I think it's back here. I'm not going to waste too much time looking for it, but I have a Power Color 6600 I bought. Ooh, I don't know where it is. I don't know. I have a Power Color 6600 somewhere here that I picked up. It's not this one. Anyway. And it was, it fit in here and ran very well. In fact, it gave the 2060 Super a run for its money. So if you can find a Power Color, something small, it's got to be 8-pin or 6-pin or 8-pin power, nothing more, because the power supply in these isn't very large. And there you go. Now, you could maybe find a really good deal on a 4060. You're going to be limiting, because these are PCI Gen 3, and 4060 is Gen 4, 8 lanes. Yeah, you'd be Gen 3 at 8 lanes, you're really kneecapping yourself. Do I want to buy it now? Sort by price. You see, this is like, I mean, that's pretty awesome. That's $250. Well, if sellers got 0, I wouldn't buy it from them. Bummer. Great price, but shady listing. Yeah, this is $309. Yeah.
If you had the money, can you go up?
Yeah.
So if you had the money and it was not a big deal for you to throw money away,
Yeah.
would you buy that one?
This 251?
Yeah.
Would I get it just for giggles?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I would. Houston, Texas, we can go driving. Put the beat down on him. No, I mean, I'm kidding. But that is a 1660 Super's got 8 gigs of RAM. No, excuse me, 6 gigs of RAM. But we've got, I think, I don't know. I have to look it up. But that's a 12400. The 12400 is a great gaming really good little gaming processor. It's not great for work, which is one of the reasons I swapped out of the one Trident for the other Trident. The 12700 is a really good processor. I mean, here we're starting to get into the, yeah, I wonder what would happen if I did 15L and I did 16 gigabyte RTX. So we just search that. I don't want an i3. I wouldn't recommend you get an i3. No, see, that is not good numbers. Why I wouldn't get an i3? It's just, well, for gaming it's fine, but I look beyond gaming. So I have, if I wanted to just run Photoshop a little bit, I would choke it. Okay, this is, I was hoping to find this. This is something I wanted to show you guys. Please watch out for this. There's a bunch of sellers that are doing this. There's no such thing as an RTX 1650. There's a GTX 1650. They're using RTX, probably on purpose, as search bait. This card does not exist. Okay, so there's a GTX 1650, there's an RTX 2000 series, you start seeing RTX. Like a huge difference between an RTX and a GTX. So if you see this right off the rip, they either had a typo, which I doubt, or they're using that RTX as a way to try and get, like if I put this in, their listing came up, right? But they don't have an RTX graphics card. Now, I have like reached out to some of them and say, hey, why are you doing this? They, oh, we're sorry, our mistake, I'll fix it, and we'll see. Now, this is a pretty good, I think this is the same company that I was looking at earlier. Okay, this is another one, another big HP reseller. But look at this one. This I would buy. Buy this in a heartbeat. This needs nothing. Mm-hmm. So out of the gate, like you've got RTX 3050, again, I get it. Not an awesome card, but it's way better than a 1650. It's got 8 gigs of VRAM. So you can actually use that and run stuff and be okay for a while, okay? 16 gigs of RAM and a 512 gig SSD. This, beautiful. You need nothing. I don't know what motherboard it has and what upgrade path is available, but I'll give you an example of what you can do with these, all right? So this I think is really cool. I don't need another computer right now.
Hold on, let me show you. Have a look behind him.
That's just some of them. I don't need any more computers, right? At all. But that is something, I mean, that's essentially this. All right, so just, if I'm going to be honest, I spent $800 for this, bare bones, back when I bought it a year ago. So that was no RAM, no hard drive.
Ouch.
Had the graphics card, had a 3050 in it, right? This was going to be my wife's. It never made it to her desk. It was, Yeah, never made it. That's a whole other story. Anyway.
So how much was it once you put everything in it that you needed?
Okay, well, there's another story to that. Hold on. Because...
Or you're not done putting stuff in it?
No, well, okay, no, I'm not. This it. Okay. So, a bunch of stuff here. All right, I'll give you show you a couple things here. This is a card I got. You gotta, look, if you want to upgrade these, 3060 is a great card. 4060 is probably a great card just because of the low power draw, like 110 watts. These don't have big power supplies, like 400 and 350. Not a lot of juice there, so you got to be mindful. This is a 3060, a little baby ITX 3060. This was some change, right? So 300 is half the price of the stinking computer. So I took it out because I want to use it in something else, I think, or just for testing, like in these things. This is a HP OEM 3060. I paid $250 for it or something. So you can find these, right? These, I don't know if you want to show a top view.
Sure.
You can find these, right? They have 1 8-pin, right? Just really nice short little card. They drop into these machines beautifully. And because they have the rear access to the power.
Okay.
Yeah, because they have the rear access to the power, there's no obstructions. They work really well in these cases. It's really good for it. So that little one here, you asked, what did I have in it?
Yeah.
I put 32 gigs of RAM, so that was probably $70. I put a 2 terabyte hard drive in it, which is 100 and some change. So they say $200, so I got $1,000 right there. And then I went and bought this that I put in and took out. Another 3 and some change, so 13 and some change. Yeah, I know, right?
And what is it currently used for?
I don't know what I'm going to use that for.
What's it used for over there?
Nothing. I replaced it. That was my gaming machine. I used it for gaming.
Gotcha.
But what I've done is I've got my new Trident here. It's so pretty. It's bigger. Anyway, that one can do a lot. What is your question?
I didn't have a question, no.
You're going to have a comment? You're going to be snarky? She was going to be snarky. Yeah. And I can blame her. I have nothing to I have no leverage at all. There's nothing she has that comes anywhere near any of the hobbies I have. There's not a single thing. There's not shoes. There's kitchen gadgets, but maybe she has no kitchen right now. So I mean, that's not even.
I don't even have, and you can't even go there.
I have nothing, nothing at all. That I have no.
Now, if I had
if
I had space and I could do quilting, we might have a problem with fabric.
Yes, there we go. Fabric in the quilting machine. Yes. Okay, so I did some numbers, and if we're looking at. By the way, I was good to talk upgrades. Let me do that first. One of the cool things about HP. I'm actually a fan of these little pre-builts. Okay, I'm not a must only be custom built snob type guy. I actually really like pre-builts. I really like the little micro things. I got this little. It's not here. It's over there. I put the minis for them up and running. It's an extra workstation in here. I have the little Nook 9. She's got a Nook 12 Extreme. I think these are great little machines. They're just a ton of ports, stable. They just work. I like them. All right, little upgrades. It work pretty good. I'm not a must-be pre-built snob. All right, you can actually do a lot of upgrades on these. You can upgrade RAM, and you can run 64 gigs in this, no problem, if you want to. I would get 32 gigs. If I were to do any upgrades on these, go straight to 32 gigs. You can see that a 32 gig kit, this one, it's $50, $51.
You're showing them?
Yeah. So.
Okay.
This is, a 32 gig, 3200 mega transfers per second. Yes, the latency is not great. It's CL22s, but that's okay. It'll drop right in here. Works beautifully. 32 gigs. So for $50, you just eliminate your memory issue for the foreseeable future. I run 32 gigs on my production computer. No, I apologize. I ran 64. I had 32. I ran 64 only because I could. I had extra sticks. 32 gigs is fine. All right. So for $50 you can do that. You can put a 2 terabyte NVMe in it if you want to do that for storage. You can put a bigger graphics card. You have to be within reason. So 400 watt power supply, 350-ish, I think, watt power supply. So you need to be paying attention to your power draw, right? But Ryzen processors are super efficient, so you're not really drawing a lot of power. They're not big, they're not heavy. Sorry, my nose itches. They're not heavy on that. So if you went something where you put 32 gigs RAM in, and you maybe got a better graphics card, and maybe you got more storage. Let's say you have $300 you can spend today, and you're going to cut some grass or whatever you're going to do to earn some money, or I don't know, water lawns, or I don't know, whatever you're going to do to earn a little money on the side to get your PC gaming budget going, right? So if you're spending like, say, $350 with tax and shipping, you can do the base with is just extra RAM, hard drive, and a $200 GPU. So like a decent upgrade, you're like $615. Ouch, right? It's a lot of money. If you go with like better stuff, like you're getting the 32 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte hard drive, and $300 GPU, you're at $765 and some change. So, yeah, if you're going to be looking at $7 and some change, then you want to start looking at some other options. And I personally don't mind refurbish. Like, let me just see.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Do you sell any of these computers?
I will be.
I mean, I actually haven't talked to you about that, so I was just curious as to whether or not you're using them, have a plan for them, or you
No, these are all hobby things. I got back into the hobby and way hard in the wrong time. So I've got like 3 Alienwares, a bunch of customs I've built, the HPs, the Intel Nooks. I got a bunch, and they're going to be for sale. Here's an example right here of what I'm talking about, where you can find a pretty good deal.
You're on Newegg?
I'm on Newegg. All right, so this, and I don't mind buying refurbished, personally. Okay. Do
they come with a warranty if they have?
It does. It comes with a 90-day, 3 30-day returns, and I think a 90-day warranty. Okay, so this is 16 gigs of RAM, 512, plus a 1 terabyte hard drive. So I'm not a fan of that configuration, but you have it with an RTX 3060. So you don't need to do anything with that. You can actually like just get it and use it and be done for $700. I would prefer 12th gen. That's 7th gen.
How much are people usually paying for computers for gaming versus computers for
Speak up, so it's talk loudly.
Oh, I thought I was. Sorry.
Don't hide from your voice.
How much are people paying for computers for gaming as compared with computers for the office or doing?
Well, the gaming computers are more expensive because your typical office PC is only a few $100 because they're not concerned about graphics performance. Now, if you're like doing video editing, content creation, different story.
Yeah.
Gaming PC is really what you're buying. This is what I just bought over here. This is a hell of a deal right here. Okay, so
let me just move your picture out.
This is this machine right here. This is what I just got, and it's back in stock. This is a hell of a deal. Now, this says 1200F. I would have been happy with a 1200F. Mine came with a 12700. So it says 12700F. My wife doesn't know what that means. F means there's no GPU built into the processor. Now, you may ask, Rick, why do you want a GPU when you're getting one? Because this was like going to be a backup video editing machine. And the timeline rendering is greatly enhanced by Intel QuickSync, which means you got to have the integrated GPU for that to work. And the 12700F doesn't have the Intel integrated GPU, so it doesn't have QuickSync. This does. Mine came through with a 12700, so I'm like super pumped. I was like so excited. I know it's a little thing.
I have a
Very
question.
excited with that. Yes.
Intel QuickSync, I don't see it written anywhere there.
No, you're not going to.
would it be an important thing to have some, like, to know what's, because I'm not a computer person. I mean, I'm a computer person, but I don't buy computers. You do that.
Right.
So if I went to go buy a computer and I was following your instructions,
Well,
I'd be
what I would
looking for
do,
that.
what you do is, this says 12700F, right?
Yeah.
You'd want to see 12700.
Okay.
You don't want anything with that. You want to avoid the F.
Okay.
You don't want to get F'd. You don't want the F. Anyway, we'll move along.
Yes.
You want 12700K, 12700, fine. With the F means it doesn't have an integrated GPU. If you're just gaming, doesn't matter. But if you're going to do stuff where QuickSync can be helpful, another thing where it could be super helpful. Here's a good example. Say you want to stream, right? Right now we're streaming, right? Well, I have a 3090 which has, I think, dual encoders. Plus, I have the iGPU on the Intel processor. If you're running OBS or Minicam, you can actually choose which encoder you want to run on. If you're playing a game, I could tell this computer, well, not this one, let's just say at 1200, like 12700 like this one does. I could tell OBS to encode with QuickSync, and all of my processing power for the game runs on the dedicated GPU. So you're able to segment those tasks and have a better experience. So this unit is awesome because it has a 12700, which is a 20-thread processor, I believe. So it really kicks butt. 16 gigs of RAM, terabyte NVMe, and a 3070. Now, that chassis, you're not limited. That chassis will actually take, I put a 4070 Ti in it just to see if it would fit. Works beautifully. So, yeah, this, at this price point, if you have it to spend, hell of a deal. That is $900 with shipping and tax, and you are like set. Yes, Sue?
Could you do me a favor and flip through the images on that?
On this, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so super nice. I'm going to do, I have this. I'm going to do a video on this.
I just want to see if it looks different.
See, this is the
doesn't
wrong
look different.
panel. It's got this, the side panel on it is glass. You see that right there? It's kind of the separation there.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's actually glass, magnetic, opens up really nice.
I didn't think it was the same as yours, but it is.
It is.
I like the colors choice
It's
on
really,
this one better
really
than
nice.
yours. You've got green.
She didn't like my RGB selection.
I'm green.
Yeah, so this is a great deal. And I have this machine. It's super nice. And does it ever play games well? It crushes.
What do you play on it?
Mostly Valorant, which takes nothing to play it. But I also do Halo, and I want to put the Avatar and a couple other higher need games. I've got like the Star Wars Survivor or whatever it was my daughter was playing. I want to put some more demanding titles on it just so I could stretch it.
Cool.
But a 3070 is a hell of a GPU. It's only got 8 gigs of VRAM, which I know some people are going to freak out over. But anyway, back to upgrading. I got sidetracked. I want to show you two things. Okay, so reason I like pre-builts. Back to the pre-builts and upgrading. The reason I like pre-builts, HP, Dell, Lenovo are the three I like. Just like most of them, right? Anyway, generally they have really good documentation. So this has the Erica 4, I think, motherboard. I think it's 4 or 5. I don't remember. It's one of those. But I have this data here. I can go and look up what does this support, and it tells me exactly what processor I can put in here. Now, the machines we're running for our ministry, for our streaming, I upgraded all to the 3700X, which is a pretty good jump. The 35 to the 37. So this is 6 core, 6 thread, no hyper-threading. This is 8 core, 16 threads. So big difference if you want to get an idea. Now, I think this is a decent website. I know it. I don't use user benchmark. I know better, right? But hello. Yep. There it is. Whew. I thought we run out of RAM. We're dying. Yeah, we're almost out of RAM. Anyway, okay. I'm going to do 3700X.
You're reminding me of me with all your tabs.
Yeah, all my tabs open. I've got goals. And we're doing 3500.
What's that game?
I don't know. Air Ryzen 5. All right, so let's see the difference between these two processors. All right, so you're almost getting twice the performance, right? 76.4% more. So that's almost double. All right, it's 2/3. I don't know, it's a lot, right? Now, if we were to go over here and just really quickly.
Can you tell me what that website you just went to
Yeah,
was?
technical.city.
And what do they do?
They just have comparisons. So I can like compare GPUs, CPUs. I'll do something else in just a second. I use it a lot. Just see if it's worth doing an upgrade, right?
Gotcha.
So, I was going to look up, Ryzen, it's just 3700X. No
I recognize that box.
Blah, blah, blah. So for $80, you could almost double the performance of your computer. That seems reasonable. Okay, and if you're going to do something with a lot of multitasking, you're going to be streaming, you're going to be doing a bunch of stuff at once. Like when we do our services, Sue runs a service, right? So Sue, what do you got going? You got Minicam?
I have Minicam. I have Sam Audio. I have.
So she's encoding audio and video.
I have the audio.
The mixer.
I have Facebook. I have Google Drive. I have a Bible program, and I have a notepad.
And PowerPoint sometimes.
And PowerPoint, yeah.
So she's stressing the crap out of it.
Yeah.
And she's still running the 1650 Super. So that's one of the upgrades I want to swap a different graphics card in there. Or maybe trade it out. It's not like I'm short.
That one doesn't handle opening PowerPoint when those things are open.
I think it kind of hits the wall.
Yeah.
And I think it's memory limitation. I think it kind of runs out of RAM because I think it's only got 32 in it. It's either got 16 or 32. I don't remember. But upgrading the processor made a huge difference. So for $75 and shipping, so $80, you can look up your motherboard. Oh, I could take this to a 3700X. That's a worthwhile upgrade, just to tell you. Yes, Sue.
If you wanted to upgrade that, can anybody just open up their computer and put it in? Or
it's super easy.
Are there videos on the website for like HP or whatever that tells you how to do it?
Do this. If you guys want to see like one of these put through like an upgrade path, let me know. I actually have all the parts. I've done all the work. I've done all the testing. Like 6, 7 different graphics cards, different processors, different memory. I've done all of it. And I've kind of been through the ringer on what really works with these. I like them, but they're getting long in the tooth now, unless you buy right. So if you can buy it at under $300 and you have a little money for upgrades, you can walk away with something that's really stable. We use them like hard. I mean, it's the video editing, the video streaming, because we've got audio and video streaming to Facebook through Minicam, plus we have another software that's grabbing audio from our USB mixer, processing that and streaming that. So we've got multiple things happening all at once, while PowerPoint, while all kinds of things happening, and it works. And it's just this little guy.
I just want to say one thing. Without a big screen, my life would be miserable.
Yeah.
So as far as computers go, I trust you on getting me the computer I need for what I do. But if you do web design or video editing, audio editing, anything like that, that takes multiple screens, a 49-inch screen is awesome, and you speed up your productivity so
She's
quick,
got
so
one of the
much.
big, wide Samsungs. It's like two 27s next to each other, but without just one solid screen.
It's
I have the same
wonderful.
machine, same video. It's awesome. Same monitor. This is a big 4K screen, which is also pretty decent. The screen I have over here is a 4K screen. That's a video editing machine, a special, color accurate, whatever, expensive. This has the Erica 8 motherboard. Now this ships with the 5600G, which is this guy right here. This is the Erica
Oh,
8.
sorry, hold on.
It's all right.
There you go.
So this is the Erica 8, and it has 6 core, 12 threads. Now, here's where you have to go. Am I going anywhere important? So if we do 5600G, and we do 5700G.
You're not on it.
Oops.
Didn't you say 56?
I have 56 and 57.
Okay.
It's not a huge difference. Right? You're like 23 and a half, 24% different. Like maybe a little better.
Your screen just died.
My screen. Oh.
HDCP protection.
Oh, that's okay. What about now? Is it back?
No, it's not back.
Oh, I don't know what happened. I'll have to figure that out. All right, you can switch off of that.
I did.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know
I'm
why
just
that
you.
did that. Let me see if there's. I'll figure out how to turn that off. There's something with the HDCP something or other, but it just glitched out on me. So we'll go ahead and wrap up. I think I will put links to those like Erica motherboard specs because if you have either like the one that ships like with the 3500 or the one that ships with the 5600, then you can know what your upgrade paths are. And I've done upgrades with this. I have put a 5700G. I can't tell a difference really. Maybe if I was trying to push it or work it, it would matter, but I haven't really noticed. This guy going to the 3700, big difference, absolutely worth it. Some of you guys might think cooling is like a problem. Maybe we can do that in another video, or I could just do a video and edit it and publish it. But the cooling on these is actually not a problem. And there's vents on the side. I use Noctua fans. If you really want, I can show you how to do that. I found a tower cooler that works in these, although it's a total waste of money and time because it showed me no benefit to reducing the temps. And then I've done a bunch of work on what video cards will fit and run and work in them. And really the 2060 Super is like the sweet spot. It really works well. So guys, that's going to be it. If you're in the market for like a new computer or you're trying to find something, make sure you understand just a few key things. One is make sure you've got at least 16 gigs of RAM out of the gate, or that you have to buy more. I think 32 is the sweet spot these days. 32, you're going to be good for a while. And it's super cheap. Whether you're DDR5 or DDR4, 32 gigs of RAM is like, it's like the base, right? It's like the starting point. On your GPU, make sure you're going, well, I have no like skin in the game with NVIDIA or AMD. I use NVIDIA cards because I want the RTX features. Me personally, streaming, video, audio, I think they add a benefit over the AMD cards, personally. But an RX 6600, 6700, my daughter plays games on her machine. She's got a 3700X processor and a Radeon 6700 XT 12 gig, and she hadn't been able to kill it. She beats the hell out of it with gaming and everything else, and it has been absolutely stable. So great machine for her. But for me, for content creation and other things, I want an RTX thing. So I want at least like 3060, 12 gig, or 3070. Well, really 3070 Ti, I guess. Or the 4060. 4070 is like I think is a really solid card. People are going to argue that. I don't really care. That's a really power efficient, fast 12 gigs, pretty decent card. Anyway, know what you need to get. If you're going to start it like a pre-built for $300, if you have to spend another $300 to get it where you want it, you may not be saving any money. You may just be adding work to your plate. So look, if you have questions, comments, put them down below, reach out. I'm more than happy to help out as much as practical to help you find the right stuff and make some good choices. And when we finally get back from a trip we're going on, I'm actually going to get our website up where we're going to start listing some of these things for sale. So keep your eyes out for that. Probably sell them on Java as well. Probably won't do eBay, but I may go to someplace like Java just to make it, I don't know, a good known platform that seems reasonable to work with. Well, guys, that's going to be it. This really went way longer than I expected, but I had a good time doing it. And I don't know what happened to our output over here, but we'll get that sorted out later. But anyway, hey, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. I had a good time. Hope you guys had a good time too. We will see you next little bit. We've got a bunch of videos that we need to edit, right, Sue?
Yeah, 3 of them.
Yeah, so we'll get those working. I've got another one I need to finish. So we got to come back around and do the wrap of when I built the computer with my nephews some 4 or 5 months ago. That'll be fun to do. So we'll get that one finished too. But for now, that is going to be it. My name's Rick here with Dog River Design Everything Tech. Thanks for hanging out. See you guys next time.